No one tells you that success can feel incredibly lonely. By the end of this video, you'll understand why growth isolates you, why success creates distance, and how to evolve without losing yourself in the process. Success is not just achievement. It's transformation. And every transformation has a cost. No one prepares you for the moment when you begin changing faster than your environment. When your goals get bigger. When your discipline gets stricter. When your standards rise. And suddenly you notice something. The conversations aren't the same. The interests aren't the same. The rhythm of life isn't the same. And you find yourself standing between two worlds. You're not where you want to be yet, but you're no longer who you used to be. That's where the loneliness begins. You change faster than your circle. Growth is acceleration. When you start working on yourself, reading more, training harder, building your career, your business, your skills, you enter a new phase. Your focus sharpens. Your priorities become clearer. Your time becomes more valuable. But your environment doesn't always evolve with you. And that's normal. The problem isn't them. The problem isn't you. The problem is speed. Imagine two people standing side by side. One starts moving forward faster. The other stays still. Over time, distance appears. Not because of conflict, not because of betrayal, because of pace. You start waking up earlier. You start saying no to certain parties. You start investing instead of spending. You start thinking strategically instead of emotionally. And suddenly you feel it. You don't quite fit anymore. You used to laugh at the same jokes. Now they feel empty. You used to talk about shows. Now you think about projects, opportunities, long-term moves. And you start staying quiet. Not because you became better, but because you became different. Here's the truth. Growth isn't just about what you gain. It's about what you leave behind. You leave old habits. You leave old mindsets. And sometimes, old connections. It doesn't mean people are bad. It means directions changed. And that hurts. Because we are wired for belonging. We want to feel understood. We want people who operate on the same wavelength. But when you grow, your frequency shifts. And here's the part no one talks about. You may feel guilty for outgrowing your environment. You downplay your wins. You hide your ambitions. You shrink your goals so others don't feel uncomfortable. But the distance is already there. And the worst thing you can do is try to remain who you no longer are. Because then you don't just lose people. You lose yourself. Growth requires the courage to accept that some people were meant for a certain chapter of your life. And that's okay. You are not obligated to reduce your potential to preserve someone else's comfort. A change in environment is a natural consequence of internal evolution. But that's only the first layer of loneliness. There's a deeper one. Fewer shared topics. More envy. Less sincerity. When growth becomes visible, a new kind of silence appears. At first, people support you. That's great. Keep going. Proud of you. But once results show up, something shifts. You start earning more. You look sharper. You accomplish what others only talk about. And distance quietly forms. No one says it directly. No one says, "It makes me uncomfortable that you moved ahead." It hurts to see you doing what I never dared to attempt. Instead, it shows up subtly. Less effort to meet up, less depth in conversations, more sarcasm disguised as humor. Oh, look who's busy now, Mr. Business. You've changed, and you begin to feel it. You're not being seen the same way. Success becomes a mirror. It reflects back to others their unrealized potential. And not everyone is ready to look into that mirror. So it's easier to distance themselves. And here's the reality. The higher you climb, the fewer people stand beside you. Not because you're wrong, not because they're wrong, but because success changes dynamics. You were once on the same level. Now you're not, and tension forms. You filter what you say. You stop sharing wins. You celebrate milestones alone. And this is one of the least discussed truths about success. You can reach the top and have no one to share the view with. Loneliness of success isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of deep understanding. You can sit in a room full of friends and feel like you're living in a different reality. Your problems changed, your risks got bigger, your decisions carry more weight, and not everyone can relate. Then there's fear. Fear that people are around you not because of who you are, but because of what you have. When money, influence, or visibility increase, new faces appear. Now you're not just lonely from losing old connections, you're cautious with new ones. Trust becomes selective. Sincerity becomes rare. Peace becomes luxury. And here's the hard truth. Success doesn't take people away. It reveals who stays. But that revelation can be painful, because sometimes the people you thought were forever turn out to be for a season. And you begin to wonder, is it worth it? Would it have been easier to stay where everyone was equal? Is the price too high? This is where many people quit, not because the work is hard, not because they lack talent, but because of the loneliness. And yet, there is a difference between isolation and intentional solitude. You've felt it. That moment when you walk into a familiar room and realize you're physically there, but internally, somewhere else. You smile, you listen, you nod, but there's distance inside you. Not from arrogance, not from superiority, but from frequency. And this is where the real work begins. Because loneliness in success is not a life sentence. It's a transition. There's a difference between being abandoned and outgrowing an environment. The first one breaks you. The second one builds you. When you understand that distance is not punishment but transformation, something shifts internally. You stop trying to prove you're still the same. You stop shrinking your ambition. You stop apologizing for evolving. Growth is a kind of natural selection, not in a cruel way, but in an energetic one. Your standards rise, your habits improve, your tolerance for mediocrity decreases, and old interaction patterns no longer work. But here's the trap. Some people respond by becoming emotionally cold. I don't need anyone. I'm on my own. Success is a solo game. That's an extreme. Solitude can be a tool, but it should not become your identity. You're not growing to disconnect from humanity. You're growing to find your true place in it. And that leads us to the most important part. New standards, new environment. When your level changes, your requirements change. Before, shared humor was enough. Now you crave shared depth. Before, having fun was enough. Now you need meaning. Most people make two mistakes here. They cling to old relationships out of fear of being alone. Or they cut everyone off and attempt a total reset. But there's a third path. Conscious environment design. You don't betray your past. You evolve. New standards mean you seek people who think long-term, invest in self-development, take responsibility, can celebrate your growth without feeling threatened. Yes, those people are fewer, but they exist. And to find them, you must move toward discomfort. Go where growth feels intimidating. Have conversations with people slightly ahead of you. Invest time in rooms that elevate your thinking. Because here's the truth. Your environment is not background noise. It's a multiplier. If you're surrounded by complainers, you'll complain. If you're surrounded by builders, you'll build. Loneliness is often the bridge between old circles and new ones. You walk it alone. But on the other side is alignment. And one more important truth. Not every old relationship needs to end. Some people may not grow with you professionally, but remain emotional anchors. Some may not understand your strategy, but understand your heart. Don't expect one person to fulfill every role. Build layers of connection. Mentors for perspective, partners for action, friends for emotional support, family for grounding. Success becomes dangerous when it replaces your humanity, when people turn into transactions, when relationships become tools. Then you gain status, but lose meaning. The highest level of success is not just more money. It's more depth. And yes, it takes time. Mature relationships are built slowly. But understand this. You are not lonely because you're successful. You're lonely because you're in transition. And if you endure this phase consciously, you'll step into a stronger, more aligned circle. There's another layer few discuss. When you obsess over goals long enough, you may begin to see closeness as a distraction. Relationships feel inefficient. Emotions feel like weaknesses. Vulnerability feels risky. So you shut down. But isolation is not strength. Strength is the ability to stay open while remaining focused. You can be disciplined and warm, ambitious and compassionate, strong and sincere. These are not opposites, they are balance. And here's the deepest truth. If your success costs you your ability to love, trust, and feel, it's not success. It's compensation. How do you move through growth, loneliness intentionally? Accept it as a phase, not a permanent identity. Refuse to shrink to protect others' comfort. Intentionally seek aligned environments. Build internal stability so you don't depend solely on validation. Stay connected to your why. Without purpose, loneliness breaks you. With purpose, it refines you. Growth costs you comfort. Sometimes old habits. Sometimes familiar people. Sometimes the illusion that everyone will come with you. But it gives you clarity. It gives you strength. It gives you the opportunity to become who you are capable of becoming. The question isn't whether it will feel lonely. The question is, are you growing intentionally? Because the top is rarely loud. Real transformation often happens in silence, when no one is clapping. And if you're in that quiet season right now, if you feel distance, if you feel doubt, if success feels isolating, you're not failing. You're not broken. You're evolving. Growth costs you comfort. The question is, are you growing intentionally?